We now present For the Record.
Welcome to For the Record. I'm Will Kenneally. We start this week, well, in a little bit of a different climate than here in Wisconsin. An Arizona grand jury indicted 18 people for filing false paperwork that Trump won that state's presidential election in 2020. Now, that renewed calls here in Wisconsin for state prosecutors to investigate our own false slate of Republican electors. We sat down with Attorney General Josh Kaul at his Capitol office, and we started with that question there. Where are we with that in Wisconsin?
Well, first, I think anybody who committed a crime with the goal of overturning the results of a presidential election, or any election for that matter, should be held accountable for those actions. And, I know that this is an issue that people across the country, including my colleagues in other states, and Jack Smith and his investigation and for the U.S. Department of Justice, take incredibly seriously. We don't comment or confirm or deny the existence of ongoing investigations in Wisconsin, at least that DOJ may be involved with. But ultimately, I think it's critical that if folks committed crimes, they're held accountable for their actions.
Not to confirm a potential investigation that may be going on, what kind of timeline would we see that? Would we expect something soon?
Again, we don't confirm or deny the existence of ongoing investigations. And I can also say generally that with any investigation, the timeline can vary widely depending on facts and circumstances. And so, not much I can add beyond that.
Certainly. We've also seen the State Ethics Commission refer charges against a couple of people, including state legislators, for kind of steering funds kind of against state law. Do you have any sense of whether the DOJ will step up and commence prosecutions there at all?
There's sort of a unique process for referring cases in that context. The Ethics Commission can make referrals, but they go to DA's offices first, and then they can come to DOJ after that. And that process is playing out right now. So we'll see what ultimately happens with the referrals, and what we do or don't do will depend both on what gets referred in total, and then also on the facts and law of that case. But as with any other issue, we take potential violations of our election law seriously. And so if there is information that indicates there's a violation of law, that's something that we would take a very close look at.
And just kind of nuts and bolts, is that something that a local prosecutor would have to ask DOJ to step in, or can you just do it on your own volition?
This is a somewhat unique context. The statute for Ethics Commission referrals is set up so that those referrals, if they're not prosecuted by a DA, can then be referred from the Ethics Commission to DOJ. In a lot of cases, it's the local DA who has authority to prosecute, and for DOJ to prosecute, we would need to be asked. But in this context, there's a specific statutory scheme for these types of violations.
Got it. Also understand that you're asking the state Supreme Court to revisit the Dropbox issue. What do you think will be different now? What legal pathway are you pursuing for that?
Well, first, we think there are some significant developments that have happened in the last few years. When the Supreme Court ruled that Dropboxes couldn't be used in Wisconsin, that had some impact on the accessibility of voting for folks. And I don't think it does anything to promote the safety and security of our elections. If you just think about it, you can put your ballot in the mail and leave it there. It then goes through the hands of the Postal Service. It may or may not get delivered on time. Hopefully you've put in the mail early enough to get it there on time. A Dropbox, on the other hand, could be right next to the mailbox. It's a secure system, and there it doesn't go through a third party. It just goes directly to the election officials who pick it up, and that way you know it's going to be received on time. So there's no logical reason we shouldn't have Dropboxes, and I think having no Dropboxes for the last election just reaffirmed the point that there's no reason for this, and we argue that this is inconsistent with state law as well. So it's my hope that the court will take another look at the statutes and conclude that the use of Dropboxes is lawful, and that it'll be part of what we have to make sure our system of elections is safe, secure, and also accessible.
So we've seen a lot of these lawsuits, Dropboxes, abortion, for example, make their way through now liberal Supreme Court. Obviously, you're sitting Democrat elected statewide. We also could see the court change as early as next spring or next August, once the justice would be seated. Do you think some of these kind of big name cases will be able to work through the court system in time for liberals to avoid possibly a change next year?
Well, certainly nobody knows what's going to happen with the court system, in the years ahead. But first, I think it's important to note that I think both the court and certainly our office take cases based on the facts and the law. And of course, different justices are going to view certain issues differently. But on a number of issues, you'll see surprising alignments of justices. And in some cases, the cases were filed with one set of justices in the court and they're continuing. So take the abortion context. We filed that lawsuit 4 days after Dobbs was overruled because we wanted to fight to restore access as quickly as possible. At the time, there was a 4-3 conservative majority on the state Supreme Court. Now that's shifted over time, and we've asked the state Supreme Court to take that case up. But it's a good example of how it's often more complex than just counting the number of votes on either side of a case. But I do think the court's going to weigh in on some important issues. We've, of course, had a ruling on gerrymandering already. I was proud to be one of the lawyers representing the governor in that case and fighting for fair maps. We've asked the court to take up abortion, and they recently heard a really significant separation of powers case that could have a big impact on the ability of executive branch agencies to put rules in place to protect Wisconsinites.
And I also understand that you're pushing for expanded protections for IVF. Are we in danger of seeing any restrictions on the procedure here in Wisconsin, or is there just general need for that across the country?
Well, we're in a really fluid environment with respect to reproductive rights right now. I think if you had asked people 4 or 5 years ago if the basic protections of Roe v. Wade were about to go away, a lot of people would have been skeptical of that. And yet here in Wisconsin for over a year, there was virtually no access to safe and legal abortion, which is why we brought that lawsuit and fortunately have restored it. But that case is still going through the courts. The Alabama Supreme Court's ruling put IVF at risk in the long term in that state and caused facilities to stop providing services. And some of the arguments that underlie that are ones that could be raised in other places where there's this argument that fetuses should be treated legally exactly the same as people. That has all sorts of potential legal consequences, one of which is that IVF may become available. I think it's vital that any family that wants to grow their family by using IVF or another assisted means of having a baby has access to that. This has made a huge difference in the lives of so many families, and the idea that we would see it banned is really, really concerning. So having federal legislation in place that guarantees that IVF remains available in Wisconsin and in other states of the country, I think is common sense, and it's unfortunately needed given what's happening around the country.
When we come back, Dane County Executive Joe Parisi is stepping down next month. We ask him what's ahead when we return.
This portion of News 3 Now is sponsored by Madison Gas and Electric.
To everyone who enjoys a feel-good meal, we're crafting one for you, Wisconsin style.
We're talking handcrafted, cooked to order,
scoop to perfection goodness.
More like greatness.
A snuggle up in the booth, share a bite kind of meal.
a fill you up, heart and soul kind of meal.
Come treat someone you love to a meal they're sure to love.
One always served with a smile.
That comes from the heart.
From Wisconsin with love.
Welcome to Delicious!
Dad, are you certain this is gonna work?
Nothing to it.
Are you for imprint certain?
Certainty matters, like the certainty of 4imprint, your home for high-quality promotional gear, including exclusive items and brands they love. Printed perfectly and guaranteed to arrive on time. To wow your clients, nail your next event, or inspire your team, check out 4imprint.com.
4imprint, for certain.
We all share the same roads, but when accidents happen, we don't always share the same consequences. Big trucks can cause big damage. Injuries can be severe and may require a lifetime of care and compensation. Call Gruber Law Offices today. We've been fighting and winning for people injured by big trucks for more than 35 years. Let us do the same for you. Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
At Denver Mattress, comfort comes easy, but peace of mind is a bit tricky. And no, we can't give you a bedside psychoanalyst. Beat it, Sigmund. But you can rest easy knowing every mattress is backed by our 365-night Better Sleep Guarantee. And during the Super 7-Day sale, check out the Summit for only $299.99. Or get a $300 gift when you purchase any Tempur-Pedic. Plus, no interest until January 2029 and free shipping. Comfort, peace of mind, and a great night's sleep. Only at Denver Mattress.
Welcome back. After more than 2 decades in various elected offices, Dane County Executive Joe Parisi is stepping down in May. Now, that will leave an interim county executive in place until an election can be scheduled. And Parisi has already endorsed State Senator Melissa Agard to fill that role, though there are 4 candidates running right now. We sat down with Parisi in the City County building to talk about his legacy. You've endorsed in this race already. What went into that endorsement? Why Melissa Agard?
Yeah, so I've known Melissa for quite a while. I worked with her. She was on the county board when I was county executive, and we share a lot of the same values and vision for the community. I feel comfortable with the experience she has, both on the local level, the state level. She's been a private business owner, so she has a good combination of experiences. And I certainly found in my case that it was helpful that I had had both county experience and experience in the state legislature, because so much funding and so much of our programming is kind of intertwined with and much of it dictated by the state. So that's been really helpful. And so, yeah, I think Melissa would make a great county executive, and we'll see how the election goes.
We think of, kind of that elevation into like an executive position now for state legislator. We also kind of think of a Dane County executive, especially as, that could be a seat that would launch a bigger political career. Do you see that, for whoever wins this election coming up, maybe launching a gubernatorial run?
Well, you never know what people are going to do, after the seat they're in. It certainly has been a natural progression for some folks. They've been county executive and then run for a higher office like governor or something else like that. Some folks have run for other statewide offices. But, I think it gives one experience and that could really, help anywhere they might want to go. Now, a lot of folks, like in my case, this is as far as I wanted to go. A number of years ago, I contemplated running for governor, gave it serious consideration, and realized that, and this is when I was county executive, and realized that I felt I could make the biggest impact in this job, and I really loved this job, and so I didn't want to try to move higher just to move higher. So it's really a very personal and individual decision, so we'll see what folks in the future have in mind. I mean, hopefully, whoever comes in, they're focused 110% on being county executive.
So when you kind of look ahead for Dane County especially, I heard a statistic saying that, within the next few decades, and I'm sure it's a ways off, but Dane County could eclipse Milwaukee County, for example, become the state's largest population center. What do you think those challenges will look like? What will kind of the landscape of Dane County look like as we grow continuously?
Yeah, we're seeing these challenges and opportunities, quite frankly, right now in the tremendous growth that we're experiencing, both our economic growth and our population growth. We're the fastest growing county in the state. We're starting to head towards 600,000 now, and many more beyond in the coming decades. And I've certainly lived this change. I've born and raised and grew up here. And, this community has changed tremendously and grown tremendously. Now, with that comes opportunities, especially when you have a strong economy like we do. Our community's becoming more diverse, which is an incredible opportunity for us to have, different views, different life experiences, different approaches to problem solving come together. That can only make us stronger. The challenges with growth are a lot of the challenges we're seeing now. Keeping up, with our population growth, keeping up with housing. It's a huge, huge challenge. Doing that in an environmentally, sensitive manner. When we look at, our parks, our open space, our lakes, air, water pollution potential. When we look at, societal challenges, be it, we mentioned housing, be it hunger, making sure everyone, the big picture challenge is making sure that everyone has access to all the opportunity that Dane County has to offer. So it's really a push and a pull. We're going to grow, going to be some positives, but there are going to be challenges too.
Running the gamut, right? Like an elementary school, a park or something. What do you want to be named Joe Parisi in Dane County?
I don't want anything to be named after me because, as I mentioned, any successes I've had as county executive have been purely a team effort. And I'm just the guy who goes on the camera and talks about it and gets an outsized amount of credit for the things that we've accomplished as members of county government and as people in the community. So I don't need anything named after me. I just need this community to keep being as great as it is.
When we come back, since her time on Mythbusters, Kari Byron has been working to further STEM education. She joined us for a sit down right here in Madison. We'll be right back after this.
Thousands of our heroes face the difficult choice between keeping their heat and power on or facing homelessness. 21,000 Wisconsin veterans are living below the poverty line, many impacted by physical or mental health challenges. Wisconsin loses 3 veterans to suicide every week. Together, our mission is to provide all struggling Wisconsin veterans with a critical survival safety net that keeps them safely in their homes. You can make a real difference by providing a donation to the Wisconsin Heat and Housing for Heroes initiative, with 95 cents of every dollar donated going directly to those right here in your community. Help by visiting www.heatforheroes.org or by calling 1-800-891-9276. That's 800-891-9276.
Hanson's knows what your home means to you. It's where you feel safe, comfortable, protected, and of course, no other place provides you with as much joy. That's why our durable, energy-efficient, and weather-resistant windows, roofing, siding, and gutters, as well as our bathtubs and showers, are all backed by our guarantee. So you can feel happy in your home for years to come. With professional installation and thousands of 5-star reviews, we're your trusted home improvement expert, exceeding homeowners' expectations for over 30 years. Get 50% off installation with high-quality craftsmanship you can count on. Or enjoy no interest and no payments for 2 years. From windows to roofing to siding to gutters to bathtubs and showers, no one's got you covered like we do.
Call 1-800-HANSONS. Get it done.
Welcome back. It was a fortuitous start for Kari Byron when she joined Mythbusters, blending a background in film and art with science to make educational content engaging. Now, since the show ended 8 years ago, she's been working to further STEM education across the country. We sat down with her about what the future of that STEM education looks like. After all your years on Mythbusters, I'm sure you've gone through a lot, right? What would you say, the craziest situation that you could kind of MacGyver yourself out of after all that experience?
Man, so Mythbusters has prepared me for a life of nothing else other than to possibly be a TV host or maybe a secret agent. There's so many weird skills I have. I mean, I can wire explosives, I can build a lot of things, but I'm really bad at typing. Like, I really could not have a desk job. It's totally screwed me up. But it's also made me very good at getting out of any situation. I keep duct tape generally in my purse. I have fixed, chains on a tire going downhill that have broken. I carry a multi-tool everywhere I go, just in case something breaks. But generally, I'm a good person to have around if there was a zombie apocalypse.
I'm fascinated too by kind of like the changing landscape of media that we have. We certainly talk about that in TV news, for example. Mm-hmm. But you see some new people now, like Simone Yates, for example, do their thing kind of on YouTube. Since we've seen Mythbusters and kind of in the last decade or so, how has that kind of media engagement changed with kind of educational content like that?
Well, when Mythbusters started, it was the Wild West of television. I mean, it was the beginning of cable doing reality television, and you just had a few stations. You had your cable stations, and generally on those cable stations was like animal documentaries. So it was the beginning of Discovery Channel taking a big chance on shows like Deadliest Catch and Mythbusters and Dirty Jobs. And I didn't think anybody was ever going to watch this goofy little show. We didn't even know it was educational or science. We just knew that the perfect narrative vehicle for busting myths was the scientific method. And that kind of brought us into a very critical thinking show that started to be used in classrooms. Like, they used clips to explain physics principles or scientific method or just critical thinking in general. And it was sort of a catalyst moment for me to realize that I was doing science as an artist. I guess I put the A in STEAM instead of STEM because I didn't know I was doing science. I mean, I was just having a really good time, and I just had that aha moment where when I started approaching science like art and getting my hands dirty, it became a whole new thing, and I suddenly saw myself as a person in science. That kicked off about 10 years of being sort of a science communicator on Mythbusters. And then as the years have gone by, I've seen an incredible shift. Like cable TV, television's basically done. It's done. The new frontier, the new Wild West is the internet and YouTube and Instagram and TikTok and all the different ways that people are creating bite-sized content. And personally, the way that I would like to evolve with the new platforms is I am now a founder of a streaming platform that does short content, like, you know, nothing over 10 minutes, generally about 3 to 6 minutes, that's inspiring, and 70% of it is STEM, and they are all videos that are streamed into the classroom or the living room that come with a curriculum that is standard aligned, so that we can actually use clips like we did on Mythbusters in the classroom. But it also makes teachers' jobs a little easier because it comes with discussion plans to help utilize those clips. So though I do not have an amazing TikTok feed like a Cleo Abrams or Simone or Ali Ward, I'm more on the production side trying to create a whole new Discovery Channel, but it's called EXPLR.
So I understand you're also coming off the heels of this national STEM competition. How's that been going?
I wrote a lot of checks that I had to cash when I pitched doing the National STEM Festival. Basically in about, I think it was 2014-ish, I hosted the White House Science Fair with Bill Nye, and it was a pivotal moment for me. I was so inspired by kids having this moment where they were seen, and I feel like it pushed the trajectory of their life to find a STEM career. They brought their projects from all over the country and they showed them to the president, and it made them feel so special. And they went on to be leaders, and, you know, just industry leaders and politicians and policymakers. And that science fair stopped there. There hadn't been a science fair, like a national science fair hadn't happened for over a decade for one reason or another. You know, it was a different administration, and then it was COVID, and then it just, you know, people hadn't heard of it anymore. But I wanted it back. So I had the luck of meeting the Secretary of Education. I was interviewing him at South by Southwest. And I was just like, dude, what happened to the science fair? Why are we not bringing this back? And then I became a complete stalker and contacted his administration continually for about a year until I saw him again at the next South by Southwest. And he's like, yes, science fair. I think he just said this to get me off his back, but he's just like, yeah, we're talking about it. I'm like, listen, you give me the keys, I will build this kingdom for you. And then he said, yes. And I went, how am I gonna do this? Luckily, because I'm a part of EXPLR, and my partner Jenny Bukos is a total pro at educational content and loves creating inspiring things, we decided we were going to take and run with this idea, create the National STEM Festival. We were going to make it more than just a one-time event. We're going to make it much bigger and wider reaching. We're going to get kids from everywhere in the country, including the territories and the BIE and the DOD schools, kids from everywhere, make it as inclusive as possible, find all of the geographic diversity we can, bring all those kids to Washington, D.C. so that they can show their projects, but then also create 365 days of STEM content around the National STEM Festival, and that will be continuing on EXPLR free of charge in the classrooms for people to check out, because we want to celebrate and elevate STEM, and these young innovators, they're not future leaders, they are leaders now. They have patent-ready projects that would blow your mind. And beyond just this incredible festival, I really feel like we've created a ripple effect that has just inspired a lot of kids to go, oh, I could do that too. So for me, this is my new dream.
Our sit down there with Mythbuster Kari Byron. Now, she came to Madison as part of the UW Union Distinguished Lecture Series. We caught up with the director of that team that brings speakers like Byron and Jane Goodall from last year here to Madison.
The speakers that we get are all, if not most, nominated by our community, our students, our community members, and people from the general Madison area. We've been getting tons and tons of nominations, which is phenomenal. That's what we want. We want people to, we want to hear people. We want to know what the community wants, because at the end of the day, we want to bring speakers that people will want to come to see.
We'll be right back after this.
MG&E, building your community energy company for the future through the power of working together. Committed to cleaner, more sustainable energy, driven by innovation, fostered by shared values. Visit MGE2050.com.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Who am I?
I can't believe I have no lines in my face. It's a facelift in a jar.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Greenhut, the CEO of Plexiderm. We've created the best offer yet with our Plexiderm 10-minute challenge. All it takes is 10 minutes to reduce the appearance of under eye bags, wrinkles, and crow's feet. So if under eye bags and wrinkles make you look tired and older, try it today for only $14.95 plus get free shipping.
There's a reason big dental bills often come as a shock, because sometimes you don't realize what's not covered until you get the bill. That's why affordable dental insurance from Physicians Mutual is important. It can give you benefits that go beyond what you get from more limited coverage plans. Because no one likes a big dental bill, especially if you're retired or on a fixed income. For a free information kit, call or go online now. This isn't some discount plan or preventive-only coverage. This is real dental insurance that helps cover over 350 procedures, like cleanings, fillings, crowns, bridges, root canals, even dentures, at any dentist you want. Dental insurance from Physicians Mutual Insurance Company helps cover preventive care, basic work, and major procedures, with no deductibles and no annual maximum. For your free information kit with all the details, call now or visit sendinfokit.com.
Physicians Mutual, Physicians Mutual.
MG&E, building your community energy company for the future through the power of working together. Committed to cleaner, more sustainable energy, driven by innovation, fostered by shared values. Visit MGE2050.com.
Welcome back. Another week here in Wisconsin brings another presidential visit. On Wednesday, former President Donald Trump will be holding a rally in Waukesha. We'll have full coverage of that stop here again on Wednesday. And that does it for us this week. I'm Will Kenneally. Have a great rest of your weekend.